The 4 Degrees of Dotishness, Brian Manning and the Art of Saying Nothing with Absolute Confidence, an editorial by Professor Wall Street. A man who served in the Ministry of Finance under a government that left the economy in ruins now lectures about self-inflicted recessions. You cannot make this up. WZYE-TV checked his credentials. He holds PhDs in dotishology, stupidology, foolishology, and nincompoopology. Summa cum laude in all 4. Former minister in the Ministry of Finance and current PNM Member of Parliament for San Fernando East, Brian Manning has once again graced the national discourse with a contribution so staggeringly detached from reality that one must pause, take a breath, and marvel at the sheer audacity of a man who served in a government that presided over economic decline, rising debt, credit downgrades, and fiscal mismanagement, now positioning himself as an authority on economic responsibility. Manning claims Trinidad and Tobago is facing a self-inflicted recession, accuses the current government of increasing the burden on citizens, alleges that the promised 10% salary increase for public servants has been diluted by non-cash benefits, and warns against additional taxes in the upcoming mid-year budget review, which he predicts will focus more on politics than solutions. The irony of a PNM propagandist accusing anyone of prioritizing politics over solutions is so thick you could pave a highway with it. WZYE-TV now presents For the Permanent Record. Here are 10 reasons why Brian Manning continues to demonstrate his unrivaled mastery of his 4 doctoral disciplines. 1. Manning claims the economy is in a self-inflicted recession, yet the data tells a different story entirely. The energy sector grew by 2.2% in the first 3 quarters of 2025. Non-energy manufacturing expanded by 12%. Consumer spending rose by 8.1%. The economy recorded a fiscal surplus of $100 million in the first quarter of fiscal 2026. Brent crude is trading around $105, far above the budgeted $73.25. These are not the indicators of a recession, self-inflicted or otherwise. Manning is either unfamiliar with the data or deliberately ignoring it. Either explanation confirms his qualifications in dotishology. 2. Manning served in the Ministry of Finance under a PNM government that oversaw a genuine economic crisis. Under PNM governance, the country experienced contracting GDP, collapsing energy revenues, rising unemployment, and successive credit downgrades from international rating agencies. The Heritage and Stabilization Fund was drawn down. The national debt ballooned. Foreign reserves came under pressure. For Manning to now lecture any government about economic management is the equivalent of a man who burned down his own house offering fire safety advice to the neighbors. This is stupidology at its finest. 3. Manning accuses the government of increasing the burden on citizens, but conveniently forgets what the PNM delivered during its decade in office. Under PNM governance, citizens endured the introduction and increase of multiple taxes and levies, a property tax fiasco that sparked national outrage, rising food prices with no meaningful intervention, and the systematic neglect of social safety nets. The PNM increased the burden on citizens for 10 consecutive years. Manning said nothing. His silence then and his outrage now is the very definition of foolishology. 4. On the matter of the 10% salary increase, Manning claims the government substituted part of it with non-cash benefits. What he fails to mention is that the PNM left public servants without a salary increase for years. Under PNM governance, public servants were told to wait, to be patient, to understand the fiscal constraints, while ministers continue to enjoy their full privileges. The current government is delivering an increase. Manning's party delivered excuses. For a man whose government could not even bring negotiation to conclusion, to now critique the structure of an increase his party never provided, is nincompoopology in its purest, most distilled form. 5. Manning warns against additional taxes or fines in the upcoming mid-year budget review, a preemptive attack designed to frame whatever the government does as punitive before a single measure has been announced. This is not economic analysis. This is propaganda, the kind of reflexive, evidence-free scaremongering that the PNM has perfected over decades. Manning is not warning the public. He is conditioning them to reject whatever comes next, regardless of its merit. This is the work of a propagandist, not an economist, and certainly not a man who should be taken seriously on fiscal matters given the record of the government he served. 6. Manning predicts the mid-year review will focus more on politics than solutions. This from a representative of a party whose entire tenure was defined by politics over solutions. The PNM politicized procurement, politicized infrastructure projects, politicized the distribution of state resources, and politicized every institution it touched. For Manning to accuse anyone of prioritizing politics over substance is an act of projection so breathtaking it deserves its own case study in the Department of Dotishology. 7. Manning continues to function as one of the PNM's most reliable propagandists, delivering talking points with the confidence of a man who has never been required to substantiate a single claim. He offers no alternative policy framework, no competing economic model, no data to support his assertions, and no acknowledgement whatsoever of his own party's economic legacy. He simply asserts that things are bad, that the government is failing, and that worse is coming. This is not opposition. This is noise, and it insults the intelligence of every citizen who can read an economic indicator. 8. The fact that this man held a position in the Ministry of Finance remains one of the most astonishing appointments in the recent history of Trinidad and Tobago governance. A Ministry of Finance is supposed to be staffed by individuals who understand fiscal policy, macroeconomic management, revenue forecasting, and public expenditure planning. Manning's public statements suggest a man whose grasp of these subjects is, at best, superficial and at worst, deliberately misleading. His appointment was not a reflection of competence. It was a reflection of PNM patronage, and the country paid the price. 9. Manning offers no solutions, not one. He criticizes the salary structure, but proposes no alternative. He warns against taxes, but suggests no revenue measures. He declares a recession, but presents no recovery plan. He predicts a political budget, but offers no policy blueprint of his own. This is the hallmark of a man who has built an entire political identity on complaint without contribution, and it is precisely why his 4 PhDs remain unchallenged. No one in the PNM can match his output in the fields of dotishology, stupidology, foolishology, and nincompoopology. 10. Finally, Manning represents everything that is wrong with PNM opposition politics. He is loud without being substantive. He is confident without being credible. He is prolific without being productive. He embodies a political tradition that believes volume is a substitute for value and that repetition is a substitute for truth. The citizens of San Fernando East deserve a representative who brings solutions to the table, not sound bites. They deserve someone who can read an economic report and respond with policy, not propaganda. They deserve better than Brian Manning. But then again, the PNM has never been particularly concerned with what the people deserve. They have always been far more concerned with what the party needs. And what the party needs, apparently, is a man with 4 PhDs in foolishness who can stand before a camera and say self-inflicted recession with a straight face while the data says otherwise. At WZYE TV, we have noted it, we have recorded it, and we will continue to remind the people of San Fernando East that they are represented by a man whose greatest academic achievement is a lifetime of distinguished service in the field of talking absolute nonsense.